This is my 22nd year in the gym space. We've done a lot of great things. And one of the things I'm super proud of is we've learned from all our mistakes. And all the recruits that come in, I look at them and I go, man, being a part of a franchise system, yes, we're going to have the playbooks and the learning management systems and the training tools. We have everything done for you, all the best practices. One of the best things we've done for you is we've learned from our mistakes, and you don't have to go pay for those mistakes.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we're going to welcome in one of our franchise partners to talk about their brand. This franchise is not just an industry leader, it is actually the creator of an industry. In fact, it is several niches all in one. It's going to include sports, fitness, health, wellness, kids, adults, all the things. It can be a great fit for someone who really wishes to own a business that can make a difference in the community and really impact families and lives. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, before we get to them, quick reminder of who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals like yourself interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with well over 600 franchises spanning nearly 70 industries. Our number one goal is to help properly educate you on franchise ownership to determine if it's the path for you. And if so, we're going to help you find your absolute best franchise to own. Maybe it's this one. Take a listen and let's get to the good stuff. All right, that is a bit about us. Now let's get to the good stuff and our guest. And today we have not just some Joe Schmo that works for the franchise. We have the founder, CEO, president, grand poobah, czar of all things for our featured brand today, which is D1 Training. So excited to talk to Will Bartholomew. Will, thanks for joining us today.
Man, thanks for having me on, Tim. Really appreciate it. Dude, that was a great hype intro. I appreciate it. Made me feel good.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good stuff, man. I am really genuinely excited to talk to you. Always have a struggle in my brain of the personal side and the professional side, right? And the professional side, it's easy to see this. The personal side, I love this. Way back, I'm a lot older than you, so way back in the old days, I was a college athlete, but my number was different. It wasn't 1, it was a 2. So had you guys been around like in the 80s, maybe you would have helped me achieve those D1 dreams. But so I'm blaming you for not being 20 years older for that. But super excited to talk to you about D1. I always like getting to know people's story and the background and all of this. So before we get into the brand and all those good things, who the heck is Will, man? Give me a little your story and kind of your journey into D1.
Yeah, you bring up something really interesting right out of the gate there, and this ties to who I am. D1, we're a training place that inspires and motivates athletes to train like a Division I athlete, not necessarily be a Division I athlete. My backstory and how this kind of came about. I was a decent athlete at a young age. And in 8th grade, I tore my ACL. And I had a doctor tell me that I would never play football again. That was my love. He said, hey, you've had enough damage. You're probably going to have, lifelong knee problems, and you're never going to play. And I had a strength coach pull me aside. He was a volunteer strength coach at my high school. And he pulled me aside and he said, and he started quoting scripture. He started going, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and he would just be in my ear, and he started training me. And all of a sudden my body started transforming. I started playing really well in sports. Next thing you know, I get a full ride scholarship to the University of Tennessee. Just to kind of date myself, that Peyton Manning was my quarterback. So that was like late 90s. And, I went there and I just fell in love with the weight room. I was a fullback on the field, but I was a weight room workhorse off the field. And like, that was my MO. That's really where I found a lot of value. Cause if anybody knows football fullbacks, there's not many of us out there anymore. They're kind of, you're a battering ram. And so, I did that at Tennessee, and then I signed with the Denver Broncos, and I blew out my knee my rookie year. And I moved back to Nashville, where I'd had this amazing strength coach, and I had seen a couple other great strength coaches along the way. And I was like, man, this is a mission that I want to commit my life to. This is kind of feels like a calling. I want to create a place where athletes can come and get inspired and motivated to go beyond what they think they can do, like I did. Have a place where they can go get a structured program. They can have, banging workout music. It's okay to like drop the weights, have just that camaraderie with great coaches and other athletes training. And so, yeah, I created D1 in my early 20s and been doing it ever since. Here we are, a lot of years later, and the model's evolved and grown into what it is today. So, man, awesome. D1's kind of who I am. So when you ask who I am, I'm the D1 guy.
It's super cool that you're able to do that at like such a young age. And right, it's like your whole grown up existence basically, right, has been this business, and has to be incredibly satisfying to start it as a like, maybe this is going to work, and now turn it into this massive franchise system that's all over the country. That's got to be like, I can't even imagine how amazing that feels for you with this.
Oh man, it's really rewarding. I think the most rewarding thing, we just broke down the numbers. We're on pace this year. By the end of the year, we'll be training a little over 40,000 athletes a month.
Wow.
And you start thinking about the impact that D1 and these coaches are having on these young athletes' lives. And we do train adult athletes as well. And the positive impact that they're having, that they're one of the things we teach in our education is we inspire and motivate. We don't demean, we don't tear down. We want to inspire and motivate you just to get a little bit better every day. And that might mean, hey, it's just 2 more push-ups. It might mean, hey, I can run a little bit longer, lose a little bit of body fat. But man, that's what I get really fired up about, is how many athletes we're serving. And it's really doing it in the right way. We have 12 words on the wall at every D1. We call them D1 character. It's words like perseverance. And I know you've recently been in one. It's like perseverance, fearless, discipline, respect. It's all these words that embody what we're ultimately trying to impart on all our athletes. It's an aspirational thing to have those characteristics inside of us. And we hope D1's playing a part in a lot of athletes' lives and shaping their character.
Yeah. And I know you and I are probably both biased on this, in the impact being an athlete, regardless of the sport, and really regardless of how good you are, the impact that can have on people's lives. Right. I mean, I would just, for me personally, being an athlete all through college, and not a particularly good one, but like good enough to be on the team. Right. But it is like my whole personality, demeanor, everything is still all of those years of busting my butt, and being part of a team. And I think failure, right? You mentioned like, hey, it's okay to drop the weights. Yeah. Like again, the failure piece is going to get you to the success if you can and for you guys having that kind of environment for them to be okay with that, and to help kind of coach and inspire them to move forward, is really cool.
Man, thanks so much. As you just alluded to about you, I mean, I think, as you have this, especially as we get a little older, you reflect on what shaped you into who you are today.
Yeah.
Good and bad. And a lot of the great positive qualities that have happened in my life were because they were kind of born in sport. I learned a lot of discipline. I learned how to get up early, how to stay late. I learned how to overcome adversity and persevere through injuries. I learned how to take critical feedback from a coach who I had massive respect for, uh, and turn that into like, okay, these are things I need to work on. And I think that it just goes really well in the rest for the rest of your life. You
Yeah.
know, those qualities that you have, they help drive you the rest of your life. And so
Yeah.
I love that D1's playing a part in that in all these athletes' lives.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more, like more kind of broadly about the services, and we're training athletes, right? We're training athletes kind of all
Yeah,
ages, but it's not necessarily, you're not teaching somebody how to, like, the technique of blocking and tackling or kicking a ball or throwing a curveball or those things. It's really more kind of from a pure athletic standpoint, correct?
that's correct. Yeah, it can get into some of those skill specific things. So when you walk into a D1, first, what you're going to experience is you're going to experience this incredible atmosphere and attitude of, hey, we're here to inspire and motivate athletes to reach their goals. And that's one of the things we stress upon is every we define an athlete as someone who has a goal. If you have a goal, whether you're an adult athlete trying to lose body fat, you're a baseball player trying to throw a pitch faster,
Yeah.
right? That's a goal. So once we have that, then what you're going to experience is our facilities. We have turf in there, we have weight racks, similar to what a D1 college would look like. Obviously, a little smaller, not as grandiose as maybe some of these big D1 schools. But you're going to get everything that they have in those, in a D1 location. And then the way we train our athletes is we do it in a couple of different ways. We do it in large group training, so where you're going to go with a group of like-minded individuals, up to 36 people with the coaches, and you're going to go through a great training program. Or you're going to do semi-private, which we call D1 overtime, which is 4 people with 1 coach. And on that, you can be very specific on like, hey, I'm a soccer athlete. I want to get faster, and I want to work on my shooting. And we could throw a ball in there and do some different drills. But it is bigger, faster, stronger for the sport.
Yeah.
And then you can do D1-on-1. You can consume it that way where you're doing one-on-one training. You're not in the large group. You're not in semi-private. You can really focus on exactly what you want to do and accomplish. And we can customize that. So we have programs for every different sport, but at the end of the day, it is about making the athlete better to reach their goal. We're not necessarily going to bring out, the devices, for instance, a football or like what you're going to use in the sport, but we are going to train you towards that goal in the sport.
Gotcha. Love it. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. Talk a little bit about somebody that's going to be an owner now, right? Because everybody listening has a kid or is a halfway in shape athletes now trying to figure out how they can sign up, right? To do this. But now as an owner, do we need somebody with your level of background or that strength coach mentality? Do we need that, number one? And number two, kind of talk a little bit about some of those things you actually look for in an owner.
Yeah. So, man, what a great question, because, right currently we sit today a little over 130 locations open. our ideal franchisee candidate. We want them to open, two to three locations is kind of the right sweet spot. For us, we're looking at number one is, do they have our value system? We have 4 core values on the walls of every D1. We preach this, which is, hey, be a team player is number one. Like, can we work together? Can be a great teammate, build each other up to go reach a goal. Number 2, can you find a way to make a smart play? We want our franchisee owners to be we want them to be self-starters, not just wait on just us, giving them everything. We want them to get going. Number 3, we want them to be passionate about our work. Meaning we're going to have passion. To me is like fun, but yet you're super into it, right? Passionate about our work of training athletes. And the last is those words on the wall. We want them to have that D1 character, that underpinning of character. So that's what we're looking for embodied in a franchisee. And then, the third piece of this is, to me, when a candidate comes in, we call them recruits, by the way. We have the college theme. So when a recruit comes in and we get to meet with them and they go through kind of our process, the number one thing that I kind of think about is like, man, would I want to work for this person? And I ask them that question, would somebody want to work for you?
Right.
Because you want to create, this is a good for you business. It's a great environment. We want people that come in and go, man, I want to be a part of that. I want to work at this place. You don't need to be a strength coach, because we're gonna have great strength coaches apply.
Right. You
don't need to have a D1 sport background. You're going to have a ton of former D1 athletes apply to work at a D1 because they love this. This is what they've done with their life. You're going to get those great general manager candidates that know how to run the business. The question is as an owner, is like, man, do those people really want to come and show up and work for you? Do they get excited about your vision for your business? And obviously when they come in and see a D1, they're going to get fired up. It's going to remind them exactly of their college days. So that's what we're looking for.
Maybe slightly different language than they're used to from in the weight room at their colleges. You mentioned, kind of the importance of being a self-starter. And as an owner, I think you always have to, we use the term FSO and not the negative one that sometimes rolls around franchising, that you guys escape, but figure stuff out. Right. And so as an owner, you really have to be able to do that. But the flip side of that is, you don't want them sitting around waiting for you guys to do everything, but you kind of done a lot of it already, right? Like, as an owner, I'm not sitting here trying to figure out, okay, well, what are the workouts that we're doing today? Or even, you mentioned the music, like even like you guys have really kind of laid that kind of the recipe out really well for owners to be able to implement and execute. So it's, yes, you got to be a self-starter. Yes, you have to figure stuff out, but you're not figuring out what everybody's doing today in the workout. A lot of that is set up from you guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the business now. This is my 22nd year in the gym space. We've done a lot of great things. And one of the things I'm super proud of is we've learned from all our mistakes. And what all the recruits that come in, I look at them and I go, man, being a part of a franchise system, yes, we're going to have the playbooks and the learning management systems and the training tools. We have everything done for you, all the best practices. One of the best things we've done for you is we've learned from our mistakes, and you don't have to go pay for those mistakes.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars worth of mistakes I've made in the past, you get the benefit of by joining us. And so that's one of the really exciting things is we do have everything done for our people, but we're constantly, I will say this as a growth mindset person, we're constantly looking to grow and evolve and go, how do we make this tool simpler, better, easier? And a lot of that feedback comes from our franchisees. We have such a great community and a network of franchisees. They're so excited. We just recently, we had this past month, we had 3 of our current owners come back and buy more locations because they just, they're having success. They get excited about it. now, it's like, man, I want to go do more of these. And so to me, that's what it's all about, though, is also learning from the field. I'm a person of constant growth, even though I've been in it so long. I never like to, say like, my way or the highway. I know everything. I know a lot of stuff, but it's like, man, I love that growth mindset of constantly going, hey, let's reevaluate. Let's see if we can do things a little better, easier. I think it's the constant tooling of the business, which ultimately makes you great, because
Yeah.
typically, and this is what I found of through my business career, is like, man, it was never one big move. It was never like the one aha moment.
Right.
It was the thousands of small moves that built to the one big thing that
Yeah.
ultimately get you where do you want to go.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes being open to the feedback is amazing. As you know, not everybody is. But learn from mistakes. And sometimes you can learn, like, even when things are going well, what are still some things that we can always get better at.
That's
Right.
right.
But I'm gonna throw one at you here that you're probably not expecting. Like, give us an example of a mistake, right? Like, oh man, like we realized later we messed this up and now we fixed it this way.
Oh man, this is the one that pops in my brain. Is so being in the gym business, everybody goes to the front desk to check in, check out, and uh, I love a good protein shake. Who doesn't after a workout? So I love a good protein shake. And so I was like, man, I'm gonna have the best protein shake counter where you go up and you can pick your things. And we 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 bought it all, we did it all, and as you know, through the months as we're following the numbers, I'm like, man, we are not only are we not like breaking even, we're losing money on this. Like, how are we losing money on this on the smoothie thing? And we just didn't have our checks and balances. Basically, as I would say, is our coaches were eating away my profits. And the coaches were going in there and eating my protein shakes every day. And it was like, man, that's not who we are. We're not good at it.
Right.
Right. Like, we don't have the best practices. And so, you know what, I do believe in getting some great nutrition after workout. So we're going to do ready to go drinks. Real simple, small change. But man, it takes out the complexity for our franchisees, where our franchisees can just have, our cooler, and have all the ready to go drinks in there, not there, having to hire staff and becoming a smoothie shop and a training facility. So
Gotcha.
that's a simple one that popped in my brain when you asked that.
I love it. Talk a little bit about the size of the location, and I know you've got some ranges. Because if you don't mind, I want to come to this in a minute. Like, name dropping, we probably have some D1 owners that somebody's going to have heard their name before, which is not
Yeah.
super common in other brands. But I know there's some of these locations are maybe a little bit bigger. But what are we really kind of looking for as that sweet spot for what these things look like?
Yeah. So the evolution of the company is important here. So when I started the business, self-starter, I started in 2,600 square feet, was my first location. I had 2 racks in there. I trained the whole community with 2 racks, some patio carpet turf in 2,600 square feet. And then I had a guy partner up with me and say, hey, let's get, you're doing a great thing for the business. Where do you see the business going? I was like, man, we need a headquarters. We need a big space. My vision was to go big when it goes to like a location. And I bought a building, and it was a 24,000 square foot building in Cool Springs, and renovated it into it's our headquarters at D1. And people walk in here and go, man, I want to build this. I was like, well, if you have Peyton Manning, who's your business partner, and that's who it was, and you have him coming in, multiple times in the off season, going, hey, I want to throw a down and out from the far hash You listen to them and you build the field a little bigger. You buy
Right.
the bigger building.
Right.
But if you don't
And,
have Peyton Manning,
and we call it
I
Omaha, the Omaha building.
yeah, the Omaha building. No, we so we did big box gyms, and it was really based on um, me being naive and going, man, if I had big space, I'll attract more athletes. Not understanding our scheduling lever, not understanding our pricing lever, not understanding the value of service that we're providing, and who is our ideal customer. Um, and these were decisions that I made back in my 20s.
Right.
So yeah, I got to give myself a little bit of grace. So fast forward, the business model evolved when I decided to do franchising. I spent a year with my business partner Dan Murphy, and we rebuilt the model. We sat down and we go, man, if all the learnings, all the lessons, all the mistakes, what would we do and do it again? And I don't know if you ever watched that McDonald's movie where Ray Kroc, they were out in the parking lot, like with,
Right.
drawing it with chalk and like doing, how do we do the
Right.
optimal
Doing like the
square footage?
walkthrough. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was us. That was
Yeah.
us. We actually took the chalk out and we did like, how many racks do we need? How many exact people do we need in our workouts? What's the ideal time to do personal training? What's the ideal time to do semi-private? How do we do our scheduling lever? How do we do coach compensation? How do we do our pricing lever? And so as we were going through all of those things, what came out of that was that we needed 4,000 square feet. So our ideal footprint's 4,000 square feet. We have 6 racks. We got 6 pieces of cardio. We have our turf area. We have a front desk area with some merchandise. We have, we used to put showers in every, D1 location. Then we started watching how many people are showering, how many people are utilizing that location. And as we looked across the system, we're like, man, we're wasting money.
Yeah.
So let's pull that out. And so now we have, unisex bathrooms in each location. We have a goal setting room. We do think it's really critical to our success to understand the goals. And a lot of times people don't want to talk about their goals out in public. So they just
Right.
need to get into a small area, especially if you're talking about your kid and whatever that might be. And so, man, we create this great goal setting room. So those are kind of the components of what D1 is today, but we've really optimized the model. And so that way we can make sure when a franchisee's opening, they're spending the little, not as much money as they can to set it up to be first class, but nothing more.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we optimize that to have a great investment.
Love it. And again, just kind of you and your team being smart enough to figure out, hey, what's working? How do we kind of tweak this? But then also these are all things that you're able to give a new owner of. It's not just, hey, good luck, go find a location. It's, these are all the specs. We're going to help you find it. This is what it needs to look like. And then why, right? So again, just making it as foolproof as possible for owners to come in.
Yeah, so we do. You mentioned we have a lot of celebrity athletes, and as part that are owners of locations, and that are also just a part of our corporate company. And we recently just did a new photo shoot with Tim Tebow and Chris Paul, and both of them were commenting on that. Like, man, over the years, man, it has evolved so much, and it's constantly getting better. Chris had his son. He was like, man, hey, this is everything you want for my kids. This is everything I need. I don't need some massive location. This isn't, the Golden State Warriors. This is, a place where communities can come and train and get better.
Yeah, I love it. And you guys, I've seen a lot of stats, and I know this is changing constantly, but your athletes that have come in, trained with D1 at whatever location, that have gone on to get college scholarships, play professionally, all of this stuff. So I mean, it's got to be a huge, like, kind of proud accomplishment for you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, stats are great to kind of give you like milestones going, hey, we've had, 1,000 NFL draft picks or whatever, all the stats that we have. I think at the end of the day, our heart, just for the listeners out there that are like, hey, what is this company all about? And I know, Tim, you've done a great job sharing this with candidates, but, you know, our heart is to serve athletes. And I really mean that. Like, it's like a service mindset. During our training for our coaches, it's like, hey, you don't get into this to like promote yourself, and you don't get into coaching to, be the guy everyone looks at. You get into coaching actually to serve athletes so that everyone looks at that athlete.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset. And I think when you look at all these athletes that have gone on and had these big accomplishments and they've gone on to do things, it's amazing. They had somebody in their life inspire them and give them the courage to go beyond.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like D1 can be a place for, so many athletes to do that. That's what we're trying to create in every community. Because like that story I said at the beginning, I had a coach who breathed life into me and gave me hope in a really dark time in my life.
Yeah.
Where I was like, man, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was going to be. This is who I was. And then all of a sudden they said, no, you can do this.
Yeah.
You can do this. You can accomplish this. And to me, to have a business that inspires people, not just makes money and contributes to the community, but that just inspires athletes to go beyond.
Yeah.
It's such a calling. It's a mission. I tell everybody, I'm like, hey, I'm on a mission.
Yeah. And I think the thing that sometimes gets, I don't know, forgotten, or maybe people don't think about, and I'm sure you've got countless examples of this, just like you can say X number of scholarships, but not everybody's going to be a D1 athlete. Not everybody's going to play in college, right? But maybe it's that kid that it helps them make the team, or they're on the team and they get a little bit more playing time at their local school. That can be like hugely impactful for people, and the life skills of teaching them of, again, the hard work, the discipline, right? All of those things for the rest of the life. So yeah, that's great that there's, Tebow or Chris Paul or all these athletes that have come through and done this, but there's also little Timmy over there that made the team because of this, or like got to play versus not got to play, right? And I think it's a super cool thing. I don't know how you like put statistics of that, right? But it's really always goes back to just somebody that wants to come in as an owner and truly make that impact in the community.
That's right. Yeah. And that's culture, right? So it's like, it's a culture thing. It's our mission is to be the place for the athlete, and the athlete to us is someone who has a goal. And it could be, the reality is like 95% of the athletes that train at D1 aren't going to be the guy who goes D1 and goes to the league. Right. And we're definitely going to train a lot of those. The reality is the majority of what we see is exactly what you just described, where maybe it might be an athlete who, I've been getting bullied. I need a little bit more confidence. And this is a place where I'm going to get inspired and motivated to not quit sports, to stay in it. This is a place where I can go and, feel good about myself because I'm putting in some work to take care of my body. And I got a coach who's walking me through that. I actually think about those athletes way more than I think about, the kids that are going to go on, the 4-star, 5-star kids and play D1 and go on beyond. I think so much about, Bobby, who's in 7th grade, who, man, is like trying to figure out who he is and what he's about. And how do we get him, just doing a little bit more to gain that confidence, so that way he can go, thrive in life. Because I was that kid.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I love it. I greatly appreciate your time, and I don't want to take too much more of it. I'm going to throw one more kind of wild card question at you here. Just in general, is there anything else about D1 training that we haven't talked about that you kind of maybe want somebody to know?
Yeah, I think, when it comes to D1, uh, uh, we are like unapologetic about our mission to serve these athletes. And there's a halo benefit about serving athletes that is just really beautiful, which is you impact a community.
Yeah.
One of the things we haven't discussed is a lot of our franchise owners. We ask every one of our franchise owners actually to give back to their communities, and we want it to be organic, right? We want it to be something natural to them. So it might be, hey, I'm going to one of our franchise owners raise money to rebuild the inner city high school's weight room.
Awesome.
One of our franchise owners is involved with the Special Olympics, and then we hold a Special Olympics event at D1 every month. One of our owners is really involved in the Pat Tillman Foundation and does workouts that money goes towards the Pat Tillman Foundation. So it's amazing that these businesses are not just about, training athletes. It's about giving back and really serving the athletes in a healthy way and being a great model for what I do know is, a mission. I do know when you're on a mission, it's way more than about what you're doing. It's about, everyone around you as well.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I think it's one of the hidden things in finding the best franchise to own. The basically for us, everybody we talk to, nobody ever thinks about this, but it is that franchisor and not the it, right? It's the people within the brand. You need to have some sort of connection to feel like you're in the right room. And somebody might hear all of that and go, "Oh, that mission crap, that ain't for me." Well, okay, this isn't the brand. That's okay, right?
Yeah.
And again, the give back piece, I think it's also really cool that you are encouraging it, but you're also not forcing it that it has to be this for everybody. You're letting them really kind of tap into what's important to them and in their community, which really is going to create that mission and create more kind of passion from that owner, whether they're semi-absentee or full-time, to, again, and let's be honest, the more you're able to do those things locally in the community, that's also PR, right? Let's not discount that fact also, right? And again, I think there's the old karma element of, if you do the right thing, it's going to come back to you some way, shape, or form. So awesome, man. Will, this has been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for coming on to talk to us today.
Man, Tim, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Man, really excited to share the D1 mission and story. So thank you again.
No, my pleasure. And we'll have to figure out some twist. We'll get you back and we'll talk about something else franchise related and maybe pitch a little D1 a little bit more in there. So super cool, my friend. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks so much. See you.
Thanks again for Will Bartholomew joining us from D1 Training. What an amazing franchise. I would like to thank him, but also all of our loyal podcast listeners for tuning in. And we hope this helps to continue to provide insight into the amazing possibilities that can be achieved as a franchise owner. If you're ready to learn more about potentially becoming a franchise owner, maybe it's D1, maybe it's any of the other 600 plus things that are out there that we work with. Let's schedule that first call. Again, there's never any fee for our service. You can find us at francoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. Again, we're always .net. Here, that is our team. You're going to be me or somebody within the Fran Coach team. Again, never any fee for our service. So we encourage you, take that first step today. Reach out to us to help us let you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk with you next week.